Welcome, everyone.
Hello there.
This is Father Son Galaxy. Thanks for joining us once again.
Today we're going to be reviewing the Marvels, but it's not just going to be us. Our special guest today is none other than Jared Skidds, MBA, a finance professional, former college football player, and true connoisseur of Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and anime. I met Jared back in the summer of 2022 when he was a summer camp director at my camp. Jared and I shared some unforgettable moments like movie nights with him and my dad, and visiting him at Misericordia University for game days. Jared, welcome back
Welcome back, Jared
for the
Skidds.
second time.
It is good to be here. I am glad to be a recurring guest. It's awesome to see you guys. I'm excited to get into it.
Oh, man.
We've had you 3 times on the show now.
Is it 3? Wow.
Yeah,
is it 3?
We did this interview, and then we did the Flash show, and now this.
Okay, I was in a feature. For the Flash.
Right.
The Flash movie review featuring you.
It was our Father Son Galaxy DC spinoff.
Yeah. Oh, man, the Flash. All right, we're not going to talk about the Flash.
That was quite the experience.
Nice Halloween costume, though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I just want to let people know, if you have not seen Jared Skidds, we interviewed him about over a year ago in regards to Star Wars in our community. That was a series that we were doing last year. We stopped a little bit, but we're going to pick it up again. So we were so happy to have Jared on. He's a graduate of Misericordia University.
Misericordia is great.
Yeah.
It's got a Chick-fil-A, and that's all I really care about.
And it's a great campus, a great football team. Yeah. We love it. We love your coach.
Good people.
So, yep. Shout out the Cougars. Shout out Coach Davis.
There you go.
There you go. Misericordia.
Yeah. So thanks again. So we did go and see the Marvels, right, this past weekend. Let's get started. This is a spoiler review, so hopefully you've seen it by now. If not, you can watch the movie and then come back and listen to us or watch us talk about it, but we're going to spoil it. All right. Everything is on the table.
Looks like we got something's wrong with the stream. All right.
What do you have?
Nothing. It was just like some Twitch bot or something.
Okay. I think everyone is still there. Should we keep going?
Yeah, still here.
Okay. Can everyone still hear us? Okay. All right. Alex says, glad to hear that. It's going to be rad. All right.
That's really random.
Okay. Let's go. The Marvels. All right. So we've seen it. Let's talk about, Jared, we're going to start with you first. Just talk about your overall thoughts of the film. What did you like about the film? What'd you think? Just tell us, how you felt about it.
I guess, broad strokes, overall. I really was impressed by it. I did not go in with high expectations, but then once I finally sat down for the movie, it was very fast paced, and I think in some Marvel movies that might not work, but I think in this movie it did work because it just kept the movie going. It wasn't one of those movies where I was looking down at my watch. I think it ended up doing it justice. The fact that things were just happening, and the action sequences, especially fast paced, some of the best action in my opinion that we've seen, in the at least beginning middle, and I said, I thought the fast pace did it justice. I liked the musical sequence. I've kind of watched a few videos where people weren't a huge fan of that. I thought it was neat. I thought it was it kind of gave me Star Wars vibes, it just kind of incorporating that. I thought it was fun. But yeah, the action scenes were great. I don't like that, the villain, I forget the villain's name, but she her. She she would
Dar-Benn of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I thought the I thought the motivation of her was interesting. I really liked the theme of imperialism, going planet to planet and just taking certain resources to rebuild theirs. I thought that was cool. I don't like that she was a one-off villain. I know Marvel movies can contain stories. They're almost like comic books, but I don't always love the one-off villain. And I feel but I also don't like when they stretch people too long and they're really not that interesting. So there's a interesting medium you got to find with that.
But a few villains that actually were good and came back, like Thanos or Loki. They're
Yeah.
recurring villains, and we all love them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, but then there's some like that I can't necessarily think of. They usually do pan out, but like I said, I liked the movie. I thought it was better than what I expected. I'd probably give it like somewhere between a 7 and 8. But I did think it was much better than the original Captain Marvel. I love the dynamic between the three actresses. And yeah, I think there's more to discuss, but I think that's my general, opinion about it.
Yeah, Dar-Benn was actually a pretty good villain, and like you said, I liked her motive. Like, she was trying to save her planet, but she did it by any means necessary, even by conquering other worlds. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have any other thoughts
yeah.
about
By the
overall?
way, since I aspire to be a member of Team Theorist, hashtag MattPat, please notice me. I started designating some of the stuff we saw in the movie with my own world numbers, because that's just a theory anyway. You know how Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Monica were like teleporting and fighting. I'm gonna call that blip combat because it's so cool to say.
You gotta
Blip
trademark
combat.
that. Yeah.
I should trademark that. So yeah, when they were doing the blip combat at the beginning sequence and fighting the Kree in Kamala's home, and then fighting the Kree on the spaceship Captain Marvel was at, and fighting the Kree in space, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like one thing I didn't love is how they handled the switching. I suppose they did like eventually explain it, but like it felt very inconsistent at times. Like it almost felt like I like personally, as good as the action was, I think there definitely was an opportunity there to just be like punch, disappear, punch, disappear, punch, disappear. And I think if you would have did that just a few times where it's just like instant contact and then like an actor switches, I just felt like maybe I'm nitpicking. I'm definitely nitpicking, but I thought that could have been like a very cool sequence. And like because of how they did the switching, it felt like it kind of slowed down the action as fast as it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, I have two things I'd like to point out. One, what happened to Gaia? Because she has light based powers too, right? So even when like Kamala and Monica weren't actively using their light based powers, they were still getting teleported when Captain Marvel was using them. So how'd she not get caught up in this trio? Because she has the same power set as Captain Marvel. Maybe it's because they don't want to have the exact same power set copied twice.
Now remind everyone who Gaia is.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Gaia was Talos' daughter in Secret Invasion,
right. Played
and
by
Amelia Clark,
yeah.
yeah. And she got powers at the end of the season because they felt like it.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So, well, all right. So
I had a second thing.
oh, I'm sorry. You did have a
No, no,
second
no,
thing.
I'm
Right, go
sorry,
ahead.
I forgot it, but
Okay.
it'll come
If you,
back to
it'll come back to
oh yeah.
that was
Three
quick.
things.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked it if Dar-Benn came with her own set of powers. Like if she used the quantum band a little bit more to like shoot energy blasts or something, or make energy shields the same way Kamala uses it, that would be cool. And thirdly, remember when Dar-Benn took the second quantum band from Kamala and then went off into space, and the bands were floating in space? How was Miss Marvel using her powers then? And how did Monica fly? Like she actively told Kamala earlier in the movie that she couldn't fly.
But
Hmm.
no, there was a scene with her flying. She flew.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
flew from the
The spaceship.
Miss Marvel's house.
Right,
Well,
to
no, I'm
save
saying on Earth when she
Kamala.
saved
Yeah,
Kamala.
Kamala was free falling.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
she said she couldn't fly, but she did
I think
But
fly.
she
she
didn't have
did
the
fly.
She
confidence.
kind of
Yeah.
faltered there, but
No,
no,
yeah, I think Kerwin's right. I think it was like
Yeah.
she like
Just needed
she
some
just like
confidence.
wasn't
she
confident
needed
and
a
she didn't
constant.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
The
Yeah.
adrenaline probably got her flying, in space. Like she was like, I gotta save everybody.
Right.
How did Kamala use her scooping hand to bring them back if she didn't have the band on? Like, does she get powers from the band, or does she have powers and the band activated them?
All right.
And
Well,
also, how'd the other band end up in space?
All right, well, let's talk about this a little bit more. We're going to stop for Q&A to see who's here. Welcome, everyone who's watching us on the live stream. And if you're watching us on Instagram, thank you. Welcome. We have Alex. Alex says, great points about inconsistencies. There were times in which I thought they were switched, but they didn't. I didn't think about Gaia, but yeah, I'm too surprised she didn't appear in the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's a good point. Okay, all right. And then
But I think it was just because they couldn't have two characters in the same movie with the same power set, and we already have three main characters, each with their own storylines to explore. So it would have been a bit chaotic to throw Gaia in there.
Now that you mention it, wasn't there a rumor that Gaia was going to be the villain in the Marvels, or was that for another movie? You hear some.
I highly doubt that she'll be the villain.
Well, I mean, she's not
ever.
Well, no, okay, yeah, all right.
And you just help Nick Fury to
that's
fight
a good point,
Gravik,
right.
like
yeah,
that'd be a Wanda Maximoff slap in the face,
Okay,
like yeah, we finished that character arc, but we're gonna bring her back to be another villain.
After Kerwin gives his thoughts about the movie too, I do want to wrap around to Nick Fury because I want to talk about that too.
Yes, absolutely. Jake.
All right. Well, so Jared, you mentioned about the time of the movie. So it was like an hour and 40 minutes. I thought it went a little too fast, right? Because I was like you, I went in with no expectations, but I was not ready for them to connect this movie with Captain Marvel, the first movie. For some reason, based on what I saw in the trailer, I thought this was going to be a completely different movie separate from what happened in Captain Marvel.
It's technically an installment of the Captain Marvel series. And
yeah.
Marvel's not one to make two movies and then let that sit and simmer. So we'll probably be getting a third Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, well, I was very surprised that they would continue to bring in this Kree and Skrull story back because we've seen it already in Captain Marvel. We saw it in Secret Invasion,
which was literally this year.
Yeah, so I was just surprised that they were bringing that storyline back. So that's what I think where I got lost because the first act in the movie felt like the final act. Like there was something like there were two stories going on, and this, Carol.
Well, the Kree were negotiating peace treaties with the Skrulls, and that fell through because when the Marvels showed up on their world, the Kree thought they were committing treason and trying to take them out and sick the Annihilator on them. So they burned the Skrulls' world to the ground.
So from what I understand is I wrote this down. So Carol destroys the Supreme Intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
that was last
the ruler of the Kree, right? So that was in Captain Marvel. So
and Dar-Benn tried to stop her,
right?
But she got knocked out by some rubble. It's kind of like the what
setup and payoff.
No, it was like remember the main villain from Indiana Jones?
Which one?
The
Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, Dial of Destiny.
Okay, I don't.
The main villain.
Yeah.
Played by
Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah, I don't
Mads
remember the name. Go ahead.
Mads Mikkelsen villain. Remember when he got absolutely bonked by that platform on a train?
Yes.
And just bounced back with no scars or injuries whatsoever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was surprising. But it feels a bit like the same thing with Dar-Benn. I mean, how'd she get hit with rubble and then survive to get revenge? I mean, it would have made more sense if Captain Marvel just, power blasted her back.
Okay, well, let me get back to the Kree story. So Dar-Benn is now the leader of the Kree, right? And then after the destruction of the Supreme Intelligence,
she mentions Ronan. Indirectly, she mentions Ronan,
right? So
which was the villain of Guardians 1, and she has his hammer.
Yeah, understood. All right. So right, okay. So the Supreme Intelligence. So Carol destroys that. And also, there's a civil war going on the Kree planet, and then they accuse Carol as being the Annihilator, and I didn't know what that meant, but I had to look it up after I saw the movie.
It's because she destroyed their planet.
Yes, right. And the home world of Hela, and the planet loses air, water, and the sun.
Yeah, Hala got complete.
Hala, okay.
Yeah,
so Dar-Benn.
Hela's a different character. It's kind of funny because there's two Ronins and then there's a Hela and a Hala.
Yeah. So the
Hela Hala.
So Dar-Benn's goal is to steal these elements from other planets, right? Because this was taken away from her home world. I wish they would have explained that a little bit more, but I guess maybe that happened already in Captain Marvel. I only saw that movie once, so I have forgotten,
by the way,
what happened, what took place. And I just wish they would have prepared me and said, well, you know what, you may want to watch Captain Marvel in order to, to see the connection to what's going to happen in the second movie. That's all.
So, Team Theorist, hopefully. I have a few theories for the future here. And
Are we still talking about the movie?
We're still talking about the movie, but I just like to bring up one theory. And that is, jump points aren't just in universe. They can connect you to completely different multiverses. Because for the nearly 10 years that we've seen jump points, all the way back in Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, we've always seen jump points being used to get to other places in the universe. But here, when Dar-Benn opens her broken jump point and then it explodes, it leads to a completely different universe rather than another point in their universe. So how exactly do jump points work? Like, are they portals? Because I'm starting to think it's not like how they explain it in A Wrinkle in Time, where it's like taking a paper and marking 2 points, and then you fold the paper up so you can walk from point A to point B just like that.
It's almost like it's 2 pieces of paper now, where it's there's one over here, and you put the papers together. Yeah.
Let's think of it as a web. Maybe there's different points on the web where
that's a better way to visualize
if a part is broken, it'll attach itself to another part.
And I think maybe it's gonna, like, if you go off of that theory, maybe it plays into the end of Loki too, where he's like kind of manipulating, the web of the universe, but it's like symbolized as a tree now. So, and like
the tree of life in Asgard.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, pretty much. But the tree of time, essentially.
So, what do you want to say about Nick Fury, Jared?
Well, okay, yeah. So, what was the name of the Nick Fury show? I watched it, but I can't remember the name.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. In that show, he was like, did that happen right before this movie? Like, was it sequentially? Is like, did that just happen? Because it feels like a very dramatic tone shift for the character, and like, he just got over this thing with his wife. It's like, he doesn't even mention it, bring it up. And I know it was like a secret wife. Like, I get that was the point. But like, you would imagine that given everything that just happened, like, there would be a scene with him. Like, he felt like the comedy relief in this movie. And I liked it. Like, I thought his character was good, like, isolated. But like, when you refer back to Secret Invasion, you're just like, well, what the heck happened,
So I will say, Secret Invasion, it feels quite disconnected from the rest of the MCU. And by the way, I'm just wondering when did Nick Fury swap out as a Skrull?
Yeah, that's another great question.
Right.
Because it would have had to have been after Infinity War, right? Because you would think it would be after Infinity War, because when he didn't dust into Skrull form before dusting away. He was still human when he got dusted. I'm not sure if that's something Skrulls do, like if Skrulls retain their human form when they get dusted. It's kind of a whole thing.
I mean, you would hope he was actually at Tony Stark's funeral too. Like, you would hope that the real Nick Fury would have been there,
Yeah. Here's the part that hurts. I'm not even sure Rhodey was at his funeral. Because, Rhodey, when we got him out of the pods in Secret Invasion, he's wearing the gown he wore in Civil War. So what I'm hoping is that he got swapped out some point after Endgame, like before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because we see him walking pretty normally there. He doesn't have a cane or any braces. He's not assisted or anything. So,
well, at the same time, you could, like, just to play devil's advocate, you could say it's like Tony Stark's like nanotech, like just like on the back of his legs or something,
Maybe.
It's at that point in the MC, but that's just nitpicking again. But
that's just kind of me trying to fill in canon. And in Captain Marvel, when Nick Fury says he doesn't like toast when it's cut diagonally.
Yeah,
that, but okay.
I completely forgot about that too.
What does that mean?
Well, there's a scene in Age of Ultron, which is in 2015, where he's cutting his toast diagonally before eating it.
Okay.
So
All
he
right.
literally said that he can't eat toast that's cut diagonally. I'm sure that's just like a nitpicking thing. Maybe that's just like because it was like 30 years between that and Captain Marvel, so he probably grew out of it. I mean, that's kind of a childish thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
And one more thing about Nick Fury. He feels like a completely different character in Secret Invasion, you know? In the MCU, he's always been in the know. He's always been the one who's assembling characters. He's been the one behind it all. He's been kind of working around the scenes. He's an expert at faking his own death and going underground, but like all of a sudden now, he's just out of the loop completely. He's really old. His eye patch is gone. He's got a blue eye, and he doesn't seem to be able to keep up with anything. And now in the Marvels, he's just completely sprung back and is absolutely taking control of everything. He's back on the spaceship. I like this Nick Fury. I don't even know what Secret Invasion was trying to establish
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
off a
yeah.
lot of characters that we didn't know about, but their deaths still somehow hurt. Like Talos, he didn't need to die. I mean, and neither did Maria Hill. They got rid of her in the first episode, and we didn't even know who she was. Like I was hoping we could see Fury and Hill working together because we don't know that much about her. But that dream ended quickly.
Go ahead,
Also,
Jared.
Talos got some character development like right before Gravik said no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go
and I
ahead.
mean, yeah, I just think like I agree. I liked his character in the movie, like isolated, but in the continuity it just didn't fit in. And I just thought like the tone shift like should be noted, like I thought it was a good discussion point.
Right. Well, we don't know for certain. Well, I don't know for certain whether the Marvels is taking place before or after Secret Invasion. It feels like
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
it's happening before because he was on Saber, right? But it's hard to tell because it ended the series with him, like you said, he and his wife getting back on Saber, but there was no mention of her in the movie. So
We
I
didn't
don't
even see
know
her.
whether, that would have made a good point, to know whether, okay, is this taking place before Secret Invasion or after? But yeah, you're right, because
So
it's two different Nick Furies.
was Goose like laying eggs or something on the ship?
You saw the
Like,
movie, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but literally, how did Goose lay like
Well,
40
no,
eggs?
they didn't explain that.
And
That was a plot point. That was a plot device, like you would call it. That was for convenience because
yeah,
we'll talk about the cats
I thought
later.
that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just sitting here in the theater laughing my
yeah,
eyes out. Like,
yeah,
oh my god, man,
yeah. Can we talk about
bruh.
the entanglement, the power entanglements? You touched on it a little bit, Jared. That it felt confusing, but you know what? I enjoyed that part because yeah, I was trying not to think about it too deeply, but just enjoy the moment. And I liked seeing them, switch, back and forth, and you don't know where one is going to end up. And I thought the fight scene in the Khan's home was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. And by the way, I enjoyed the Khan family altogether. They were awesome. But yeah, I thought it was a good fight scene.
I
No,
think the Khan family added a ton of like, you know, personality to the movie. Like it would have felt like a very generic, like it almost like it was teetering on like generic Marvel movie for a little bit. But like the Khan like family added like so much character to the movie. And like I loved Miss Marvel. Like I didn't love her show, but her in the movie, like she was one of my favorite characters in the entire thing. I also will say like Captain Marvel, like I used to not be a huge fan of her. Like for the longest time, I was just like, it feels like she's very like, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I
Synthetic.
guess now arrogant, for lack of a better word. That's not necessarily the word I'm looking for, but it felt like anytime she was in a scene with the rest of the Avengers, like she was kind of like pompous about it almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like I thought in this movie, she was a very likable character. And like I said, I love the dynamic between the three of them.
yeah,
yeah,
I
she had
think it,
emotion.
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, let's talk about the actresses. Yeah, Brie Larson, she's back. You're right. She felt more comfortable in the role, right? And Teyonnah Parris, which we know from WandaVision,
Uh-huh.
right? Okay. And then Iman Vellani. You're right, Jared. She is a star in the making. I thought she was the best part of this movie. Just seeing her
By the way,
act as a little girl who idolizes this Captain Marvel, this superhero, and this person's right in front of her. She can't believe it. And I can imagine me meeting one of my heroes and standing right in front of them and acting the same way.
well, I'm right here, Dad.
Yeah, right. So, so it felt natural. I think like her enthusiasm and her energy all felt natural. Like she wasn't trying too hard to be a likable character. She's just that actress just has it. She is just very, very talented.
By the way,
And
something
I hope
funny.
she does. I hope she's not pigeonholed to just do Marvel films. I think she could do so much more. But she's on the right track.
You remember Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness when they designated the MCU as Earth 616?
Yes.
Which was factually incorrect. Even Iman Vellani knows that it's really Earth 1999-99. They literally established it in Across the Spider-Verse the following year. So I'm not sure what Marvel's telling themselves. I don't know. Like I'm very confused because the wiki says 1999-99. I know 1999-99. Miguel O'Hara knows 1999-99. I mean, what? How does?
Maybe it's just maybe just people interpret the time differently. Like how in the real world there's like the Mayan calendar and then there's the Roman calendar, which like we follow. Like it's almost like there's just two different ways to tell time. Maybe.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite scenes in the movie? Anything that stood out for you that you enjoyed? Let's talk about favorite moments.
Yeah, like you said, the corridor scene where they're all fighting, I thought that was awesome. I didn't particularly love like the Khan family home fight. It was good. I just that definitely wasn't my favorite fight in the movie. I think like the corridor scene was like awesome. I love the what's it called? With the cats. I thought that was like a very like funny addition to the movie. That was hilarious. And I really liked the scene in space. Like I don't know what it was about it, but I was like when I first like started watching it, I was like, all right, if this movie takes place in space, like I think I could get behind that cuz like her in the spacesuit and her floating around, it was very like Interstellar-esque or like 2001 A Space Odyssey or like even Star Wars. Like I just like kind of liked how they film that space scene. So like when that scene came up, it wasn't even anything like necessarily important. They were just like kind of setting up plot points in the movie, but like I enjoyed it. I was like Marvel should like give themselves a round of applause because like the way they did that space scene for all their CGI like miscues in the last couple of years, like I thought that was awesome.
Yelena.
Okay. I beg your pardon.
Yelena, remember when Yelena was like, "It's been fun, Natasha," and then broke the helicopter thingy with the batons? I mean, I'm just looking at this and I'm like, I could have done this in iMovie with 5 minutes of time.
Is this the Black Widow?
Yeah, for the Black Widow
series.
movie.
Okay, movie. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And she was like, "It's been fun, Natasha," and then broke the helicopter that Dreykov was in. Okay. And I honestly say Dreykov is not a great villain. Okay. Also a very creepy villain.
What's your favorite scene in the Marvels? One scene or multiple scenes? What stands out for you?
Maybe I think the fight on Aladdin was cool. Okay. Aladdin was a nice planet, but I kind of wish they didn't get their water sucked out. That they're probably not alive.
Okay, but you like.
By the way, Captain Marvel has the power to literally reignite a sun. How did she not obliterate Dar-Benn within 2 seconds?
Okay, I mean we're asking ourselves questions. There's going to be a lot of questions.
I mean, honestly, they can't have the main character.
But my question was, okay, so your favorite scene was what again?
The fight on Aladdin.
Okay, anything else, or what is it about that fight?
Water.
Okay,
I like water. Okay. Water is blue.
Now wait, all right, so
water is blue.
I'm not
blue
trying to be
funny.
I know I saw the movie last week, but so what happened? Is that where Kamala was using her scarf as
Yeah.
weapon. Okay.
She used her scarf as a
Right.
belt to
Right. Okay.
beat
Yeah.
things.
All right. Yeah. So you're talking about the musical planet, right? Where
Yeah.
everyone. Okay.
Where
okay.
everybody was musical.
Right.
Except for that one prince who is bilingual.
Yeah. So you're okay with the musical number? You know,
I thought it
everybody
was
skimming
cool.
their words.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was interesting, but
You know, they just decided, why not? Let's do a musical number.
yeah.
And, you know,
yeah.
Kamala just grooving and moving in the corner.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and Monica's like, what is happening?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Carol is just fully in costume dancing with the prince.
Right. Yeah. Like she just becomes this princess, and all of a sudden she appears in this dress,
And
and then she's the
I'm just like,
the
oh my
wife
Lord.
of this prince. Like, okay, well,
Well, fake
it
wife.
was a
They're
little
friends,
wacky.
so she did him a favor.
Yes, right. Like
or
an
something.
arranged marriage. Don't see again. I don't know what that's about. It seemed it was unusual,
A little
but it
contrived.
stands out as a moment. You know, it was cool. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So couple of points for me as far as favorite. I like seeing the scene where the villain, and we're getting towards the end, but you know how the villain was destroyed, right? When she got both of the bracelets, right, and then she went off into space, and she just, you know, this illuminated this purplish color, and it's like she just broke into pieces. I don't know
if you see the
part,
mirror,
right? Yeah.
if you see the mirrors die in season 6 of The Flash, it's just like that.
Really? Okay.
You know, they kind of crack.
Right, and she caused a tear in space,
Yes.
right? And then Monica.
By the way,
and Monica had to go out and repair that hole, right? Okay.
And for some reason, couldn't have done it from the other side.
Well, right, yeah.
That's explained
But
later.
but I thought that was a really cool scene because we knew that at some point, okay, well, once she said that she was going to repair it from the other side, we're not going to know what's going to happen to her. And Carol goes out there and tries to save her, and she doesn't make it. You know, I thought it was a very emotional scene, and no, I didn't think
not
that,
for long.
Right, I didn't think that Monica was gone, but it was just,
of course not.
Yeah, it was just
the MCU as a way of kind of soft locking characters
by the actors,
putting them in the pocket until they need to pull them out again for Secret Wars or something.
Okay. I think it could have actually been like a meaningful death scene though if they would have like actually like took the chance with that. They do, like Keith said, like they do like back pocketing a lot of characters so they could use them when they like kind of at their leisure. But honestly, like that scene could have had some gravity to it. No pun intended. But
yeah,
like,
there could have been more. Yeah. I just visually, I thought it just looked really good.
Yeah, that CGI was perfect. But I will say, I think it would have been a bit surprising to kill off Monica Rambeau so early. Like, if they're having her as a featured character in a film with 2 other people, I'd be surprised if they took her out of the story that quickly. Like, she was just introduced like 2 years ago. I mean, they did it to Quicksilver, which is all right.
Okay. I thought like I honestly thought it was going to happen, and maybe this is me like analyzing it too much, but like earlier in the movie when she rejected the Marvel name, like Professor Marvel or whatever Kamala Khan said, I was like, oh, maybe that's Marvel's not it, like she's not going to make it through the movie, so like let's not even give her like the superhero name and keep it at Monica, because like that almost gives more I guess gravity again, but for lack of a better word, just like to her actually dying. It's like it's Monica dying. It's not just another hero. Like we kind of know Monica a little bit now, especially with the backstory with, you know, Captain Marvel being her aunt. We saw a little more of that.
Yeah, it's like Marvel and Monica.
I almost did think she was going to die because of kind of how they set it up.
I see.
Yeah, by the way, did you notice Kamala Khan also word vomited the word spectrum into her list of names? So in the comic books, Monica Rambeau's name is actually Spectrum as a superhero. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about the cast? Let's talk about the Flurkins. I think
Flurkins, that's what they're called. Yep.
All right. So what'd you think of the scene where, or we were just talking about these eggs hatching, and then we suddenly find that they're kittens, right? And what a coincidence, because the ship was in trouble. Saber was in trouble. They were trying to figure out how we're going to get all these people off this ship safely and return them back to Earth. And all of a sudden, transportation just shows up.
And it was set up and payoff because if you saw earlier in the movie, Goose, he ate 2 Kree soldiers, and then when they went back to the Khan home, he spat them out. So we know that Flurkins can eat things without having to necessarily kill them.
So I thought it was executed very well. Like, I was confused the whole movie. I was like, what are these eggs? Like, what are these?
Yeah,
because maybe I guess I must have like missed like Goose like actually laying an egg. I don't even know if they showed it, but like the whole movie, I was like, what are these things? And then when it actually happened, I was like, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
and like you said,
let the Flurkins eat you. Do not run away. I repeat, do not run away. Let the Flurkins ingest you. Yeah. You will be fine.
Yeah, that was like a silly scene. And again, I think it did the movie justice. I thought it like kind of, fit the tone. It wasn't like a serious movie that just like threw in jokes. Like it was very like self-aware the entire time.
Yeah, and Kamala grabbed the cat, starts using it as a turret, like, I'm sorry, and then starts pointing the cat at people.
Yes. Yeah, and then you have the song Memories from the musical playing, which made it even funnier. So
and I'm like, oh my lordy lord. Okay. I'm pretty sure some of those were real cats. Like, if you ever played the game Stray, it's a real cat acting as the cat. It's motion captured, which is amazing.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the cameo. We saw Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, so that was a surprise.
Valkyrie just kind of showed up and said,
real quick,
I'm going to take these people. All right, bye. She's friends with Captain Marvel?
Yeah, they seem to know each other very well.
I'm honestly kind of surprised. Yeah. Like, past Endgame, they never really had the on-screen time together.
Well, I think they had a relationship in the comic books. We didn't see it. Yes, I do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could check me on that. But yeah, you didn't see it in the films, but they do know each other in the comics.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right. And then let's start talking about
the post-credit scene.
Yes. And the post-credit scene, because this was the best part. I'm always excited about what's coming next rather than what's happening now. But I got very excited. You got, you jumped out of your seat when you saw what happened.
Yeah.
But.
So Jared, what do you think about it? Like, give us your take on the ending.
Which
so I guess let's touch on the first one.
Okay.
I think we all knew the Young Avengers was coming. You know what I mean? I think we all knew. I think it's an interesting way to go. Like, you could almost have their own, like, you can start doing branching time, like, stories with everybody that, like, have continuity without all leading to the same thing. Like, maybe they can team up here and there, but, like, Marvel's, like, very, like, linear. You don't have to have it linear. You could almost, like, do different things. So I think they could do street level crime now with, like, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Echo, all them. Like, everybody who's coming in street level, have them on their own thing. You could do your own thing with, the Fantastic Four when they come in. The own thing with, we'll talk about it, but the X-Men when they come in. And then, like, you don't have to have them all reach a certain thing. Like, yeah, it's cool to do that, but you can have little mini meetups along the way. And I still think it would be really cool. So, like I said, I think we all knew it was coming. I thought it was neat. I'll be excited to see Wanda's kids in it. I know they're going to incorporate them somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So,
and what do you think of the second ending?
Credit scene. So the CGI, as much as I complimented the CGI in this movie, that looked kind of weird to me. Maybe because we're used to the practical effects of Beast, but like that just like looked almost like in the uncanny valley. Like, it was unsettling. Maybe I don't know. I thought he looked like kind of weird, and and I think he was the actual actor. I think it was Kelsey Grammer.
It sure was.
It was Kelsey Grammer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or at least the voice. I'm not sure. But CGI, in the credits, they didn't list any stunt doubles. So I'm sure it was CGI rather than the practical effects. It was CGI,
yes. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kelsey Grammer from X-Men 3, which I I think I've only saw that movie once, and that was so many years ago, and I forgot Kelsey Grammer was in that. He did play.
The post-credit scene is a nerd's dream at this point.
All right, well, we skipped over. I want to go back and talk about the Young Avengers again, right? And talk about who we think will be on the team.
All right, so let's talk about our lineup. So
let me do this.
It's the Young Avengers.
I want to talk about how it played out. All right, so we're in New York City, right? We see the skyline, and then you just see somebody in the dark, and then you hear the keys, in the door, and then you turn around.
Lucky. Lucky the dog.
You
the
saw
pizza
Lucky
dog.
first. So
I love the pizza dog. They should make merch for the pizza dog.
Okay, so you recognize the dog before you knew it was Kate Bishop.
The point is he has one eye, and he loves pizza. So pizza dog.
Okay, so you probably knew it was Kate Bishop before I did.
A little bit, yeah. I had a suspicion. And we don't really have any other MCU characters that have dogs.
Yeah, and I like how they're harking back to Nick Fury.
Yeah, Miss Marvel's the new Nick Fury.
Yes, right. Recruiting Tony Stark in the first movie and saying, well, you think you're the only one? I want to, put a new team together. And there we are. All right, so we know we got Kamala Khan. We got Kate Bishop. Who else do you think will be on it? Billy, you said Billy and Tommy.
Yeah.
That's
Speed.
And
we have Eli Bradley as Paige. I'll just list where they were all.
Yeah, young Ant-Man or whatever.
So Kamala Khan from Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop from Hawkeye, Billy and Tommy from WandaVision, Eli Bradley from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, America Chavez from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Cassie Lang from Quantumania, Stature, Kid Loki, and Iron Lad.
Now
we don't know about them, but they were in the original issue in 2005.
Yes,
and we also have Scar, who was introduced after She-Hulk. He felt very inserted, like while She-Hulk was going on, Hulk was just kind of having a World War Hulk event or something.
Yeah, I hope they do touch on that.
Yeah. So what about that lineup, Jared? What do you think about those?
I think you guys hit every character, and I think if they really want to, they could do a whole, like I said, a whole separate MCU with these young characters and bring them into the other movies when you need to. And I think it would be really cool. I am so sorry. I have to go really quick, but I'll be back in about a minute.
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah, no problem. That's fine. All right. And then, so let's go back. Go ahead.
Well, I'll wait for Jared to start talking about my theories because I wanted to hear this. But I'm just kind of thinking here, what in universe would be Monica's name? Would it be Spectrum? Because the movie's called The Marvels.
Yeah.
So she'd probably have something related to Marvel. Professor Marvel sounds a little wonky because she's not really a professor.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is Monica Rambeau was a part of Secret Wars back in the 1980s, that 1985.
Yeah, she went by Spectrum, right?
Right. So I'm thinking maybe that's what she'll be. Spectrum. Right. And now that we're talking about the post-credit scene, so we have Kelsey Grammer playing the Beast. So I know we're back in the X-Men world.
Earth X2.
Okay. All right. And then.
So let's wait for Jared real quick.
Okay. So all right. So while we're waiting for Jared, okay, let's see if we have any comments.
All right.
Alex,
council member. It could be Spectrum or Photon. Photon is one of her comic names.
Good point. Right. Okay.
Yes, that's true. Jared, the goat is back.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I had to let somebody in.
That's fine.
Now I can start talking about my theories.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
are we done talking about the post-credit scene, or is that a part of the?
Yeah, it's a part of this. So I'd like to close that chapter. I'm going to put that book down for a moment. I'll get back to reading it, but right now I'm going to need a snack while I read. So let's talk about Deadpool 3.
Okay, let's go.
What?
Oh, okay. I'm good with that.
Coming.
There have been early shots released, and this was a while back. And one of those shots is Deadpool and Wolverine fighting around a 20th Century Fox sign. So what?
Really?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So 20th Century Fox is kind of promoting themselves.
Yeah.
So I believe maybe Deadpool and Wolverine are going to gather up the Fox universe, and I'm going to call that Earth X1 because I'm not sure if the part we saw in the post credits and the stuff we've seen in the past movies are connected. So I'll call that Earth X1. X for X-Men, 1 for the first X-Men Earth. And we also see Kelsey Grammer return in the role of Beast. He name drops Charles Xavier, which is surprising. And Binary worked with X-Men in the comics. Carol Danvers was the original Binary, and she worked with the X-Men in issue 164 back in 1982. And in an alternate universe, Maria Rambeau is the Binary. So the universe we see at the end of the Marvels, Earth X2, has some characters that are familiar to us. And my next theory, Earth 1999 is an anomaly because we've seen two other versions of Maria Rambeau off of the original timeline, and in both of those versions, she not only has powers but is alive. So what I'm believing is that maybe Monica doesn't always get powers. I'm sure Monica's alive in those timelines because she wouldn't be old. She'd be like the same age she is now, just without powers. But maybe there's an anomaly there because we've seen two other versions of her. Like I said, let me flip my notes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, finish up what you have, and
yeah,
then we'll.
I'm thinking maybe this felt very No Way Home esque. You know, the weird purple cracks thingies that are leading to other universes, some sort of universe meld. And like my theory about jump points, I'm wondering if jump points can just lead you to other universes, or if there are certain universes that are tied via jump points. Like maybe when Loki was grabbing branches, he linked a few branches so that if jump points are opened in a certain unstable way, they can be gateways to another universe. Jared, thoughts?
Any thoughts on these theories, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like actually the last time I was on the show, I kind of gave like my expectations for Deadpool 3, but then the writer strike happened. So like here we are again, talking about it with the same information we had however long ago, besides that leaked you know, uh studio photo. But like he said, I do think the X-Men are going to play a role in it. Like it's a Deadpool Wolverine team up movie. And I actually think I said this last time I was on the show, but Keith kind of just reminded me. What if like Owen Wilson's character in Loki like ends up having like a buddy cop movie with like Deadpool, and like we're only seeing just like one scene with Hugh Jackman. Like maybe he's in this latter half of the movie, but like what if it's a buddy cop movie with Owen Wilson and Ryan Reynolds? Like I think that would be hilarious.
Could you do me a favor? I want you to go to Google and look up Mobius M. Mobius because I looked him up. It credits Owen Wilson for playing Mobius in Deadpool 3. I got the Google receipts. I got the screenshot to prove it. It literally credits Owen Wilson for playing Mobius in Deadpool 3 and in Loki. But he's not in Deadpool 3, and they wouldn't credit him for playing a character not in a movie. And it would make sense because Deadpool will probably be joking around with the timeline. I mean, from what I've heard of the ending of Deadpool 3, he went around and made a whole lot of changes. So
Well, like, what if Owen Wilson too just like kind of recruits him, and he's like, I got a job you can't turn down, and Deadpool's like, I told you last time was the last time, and like something like that, like they kind of do a parody of those like, one more job and I'm out
yeah.
type movies. Like I think that would be really funny.
I'm sure Deadpool will look at him and be like, I'm sorry, I thought I told you to go buzz off, go back to your little TVA job with your buddy Loki. Don't bring it to me again. But how much does this job pay? Like, that would be hilarious. Also, there's a run in the comics where Deadpool, he doesn't get his hot dog order right, so he decides to eradicate the entire universe for funsies. So,
Yep, I know what story you're
yeah,
talking about.
I hope they don't do.
And when they redid Secret Wars recently in the comics, Deadpool is the one who shows up at the Secret Wars, grabs the symbiote sword, and like ends the war because he like basically controls the symbiotes. And like in both of the Secret Wars runs, the symbiote is like a key factor.
Does
So
that
I'm
make him
thinking like,
dull?
okay, So yeah, well, it gives him the powers of Null, which is like we've seen. Like I think was that the sword that Christian Bale was wielding in Thor?
That's a
Was it
necro sword.
the symbiote sword? I think the necro sword and the symbiote
It
sword
might
are
be
one
like
and
the
the
MCU
same. So like
adaptation.
yeah, something like that where they could do it. But in the second run, Deadpool shows up and basically ends the war with the symbiote sword. So like, what if this is Marvel's way to? They're really gonna go all out. They're gonna bring in all those characters from those
Alex,
2000 Marvel movies. You know, like the original. What's his name? Eric Bana's Incredible Hulk. You know, Tobey Maguire's Spider
Jennifer
Man.
Garner's Elektra.
Yeah, she'll be back.
Jennifer Garner's Elektra, you know, maybe Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Like, you bring all these people in, and you could basically like have Deadpool, you know, bring in the X-Men from Fox, bring in these people from this, and like have Deadpool be the hero of Secret Wars. Like, it would just be like very like it wouldn't people wouldn't expect it, you
Ooh, you know
know?
what I would enjoy? Maybe Deadpool will be like the vessel to bring in other characters. Like maybe
Mhm.
Deadpool will be the one to take all the X-Men and take all the characters that you listed, like your theory, and then bring them into the MCU. I mean, hi guys,
Yeah,
Exactly.
precisely.
I brought some friends with me,
Yeah.
and then assemble the X-Men. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Also, in the comics, he's like buddy buddy with Spider-Man. Oh my god, Alex. Matthew McFadden will portray TVA agent Paradox in the 2023 MCU film Deadpool 3, a continuation of 20th Century Fox X-Men film series, whose nicknamed Bob by Deadpool.
Okay. I don't know. Is that true? Is that
My
what?
ally Google will
Okay.
verify for me, but I trust you.
Paradox. Okay, we'll look that up, Alex. We don't know. This is the first I'm hearing that. Breaking news from Alex. All right. The round table has spoken. One thing I want to say in regards to Binary, Lashana Lynch is a fantastic actress. I am so glad they were able to bring her back. She played Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel. Now she's playing Binary. I guess like you said, the new Captain Marvel of this X-Men universe that she is a part of. So it was great to see her back. So wonderful. All right. So while are you researching?
Yep.
Okay. While you're doing that, 2 trailers dropped yesterday. We don't have to go too deep into them, but one of them was What If Season 2, which 9 episodes are going to be dropping starting December 22nd. And 1 episode each day for the next 9 days, which is interesting. And then we have Madam Web that's coming in 2024. So, Jared, do you have any thoughts on What If Season 2 and Madam Web?
Yeah, I mean, what if season two? I guess let's go one at a time, just so like you know we can kind of keep them separate because I feel like I'm going to keep bouncing between them. Um, I think that what if season two? I think that the happy episode
No,
specifically, I
hold on. Okay. What? Go ahead, go ahead,
um
Jared.
Sorry, my bad.
What
no, you're
Season 2?
okay. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal. I think what if season two, like maybe like the happy episode could be like a Christmas special. Well, it's going to be a Christmas special, but I think it has the potential to be like one of those things that families watch together every Christmas. Like I think they could make it that good just because of how good the what ifs have been like in general. I think there's a lot of cool episodes. I think they're gonna bring back the Avengers and like the culmination episode with Supreme Strange and stuff. I'm excited for that episode. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. We touched on it earlier or before the podcast when we were just chatting. The 10 Rings are back. We haven't heard anything about them in however long. So, you know, I'm excited to just like get all the stories that we've kind of been waiting for, at least like for Marvel to acknowledge them, you know?
Maybe we'll see Xialing again. That's Shang-Chi's brother and sister. Because she
Yeah.
was like at the end credit scene, rolling over the 10 rings in the MCU. Kind of. Shang-Chi had the 10 rings. She was just taking her father's place or something. Maybe we'll see her again.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully Shang-Chi.
Madam Web, released by Sony, right? So we know that.
And there's supposed to be a Spider-Man Noir thingamabobber also.
All right. What did you think? You saw the trailer. What did you think of Madam Web?
I am excited.
Okay, and you recognize some of these characters or who they will
I saw
become.
Julia Carpenter and Ezekiel Sims.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Ezekiel Sims is like some sort of bounty hunter or something, and Julia Carpenter is the first Spider Woman,
Interesting.
which
Okay.
will make her the first Spider Woman that we've seen in the MCU.
Yeah, so I know Julia Carpenter. I was telling you guys before the show, Julia Carpenter in the comics is the first Spider Woman, and her suit is what inspires the classic symbiote suit too. She had like the original, black and blue kind of esque, suit with the white spider across, and it directly inspires Peter's symbiote suit, like initially, like in the comics, at Secret Wars actually that we were just talking about it. And Ezekiel Sims, he is in the comics. He's a multiversal, like Keith said, assassin. But in the comics, he hunts down Spider-Man, and then he like links up with the Spider-Man and like kind of like directs him on how to avoid like the other versions of him. So like it kind of plays into the Madam Web thing, and maybe Madam Web will like connect to like Andrew Garfield's universe, and maybe that was the thing that was like shooting up in the sky. Regardless, I'm getting ahead of myself. I think the movie is going to be like delightful. Like I was very skeptical hearing like Madam Web. Like I grew up watching the 90s Spider-Man show, and Madam Web's at like the very end of it, and like doesn't really play a big role. She's just kind of like some old lady who like tells you what's going on with the
She plays a
multiverse,
big
and like
role in the
I don't know.
comics because she's like kind of holding the Spider Verse together.
But even then, she's just like kind of like an auxiliary character compared to like the rest of the cast. Like I watched a video recently where they're talking about how like Sony like wants Spider-Man so bad like as their property, like they want to profit off it as much as they want, that like it's almost like they're just creating stories about characters who like you can't do justice without including Spider-Man. So like yeah, I am excited for this movie. I think it has a lot of potential, and if it's Ezekiel Sims is like the impromptu Spider-Man in this universe, I think that would be awesome. But I am excited for it. It looks great, and I think I'm very curious to what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, well, you're right about Sony, because I believe that they are contracted to continue to create Spider-Man content, and if they don't, after a certain time, they lose the rights to the character. So that's the reason why you're seeing Madame Web and Kraven the Hunter and all these other side characters. They're directly related to Spider-Man, but at some point, Spider-Man will return, but they have to continue to make these films in order to keep the rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also kind of sure that they're making this because the MCU didn't come up with Madam Web, Sony did. So do they get to keep those characters, or is that part of the deal that they got to hand them over?
Well, I mean, it's a complicated deal. I don't know. And I'm hearing, too, that Kevin Feige might be involved in Madam Web somehow as a producer, maybe. I don't know if that's true or not.
I really hope Sony and Disney can reach an agreement again.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I don't really know anymore.
Okay. Was this something that you wanted to show us on the screen? What was that?
Oh, it was just a Google listing. Jared, you're back.
Okay. Did we lose Jared? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. No, that's all right.
Oh, it's Phantom Jared.
Okay. All right. So, any final words, before we go? Anything else we want to say about the Marvels? Jared, anything?
If Marvel can kind of keep the momentum going, a lot of people are saying it's like dead right now. A lot of people are saying it's, just like focusing on the shows. I think if they can kind of just, go with what they're doing, I think they can kind of fix the problem in Marvel right now. So I'm excited to see what they do next. I enjoyed the movie. It was a pleasant surprise, and yeah.
All right. Any final words, Marvels?
I think I'm good.
Okay, you think you're good. All right. So, all right, great. So that is it. That is our spoiler review of the Marvels and some other things that are coming up for Marvel. So we got a lot to talk about, So we're going to be switching back to Star Wars next week, right? We're going to talk about Asajj Ventress and this book called Dark Disciple. If you read it, great. We're going to talk about this in depth. All right. But Jared, thank you so much for being on the podcast once again. It's always a pleasure. You have a world of knowledge of Star Wars and Marvel, so we're always honored to have you on the podcast. Where can people find you?
I have my Twitter and my Instagram. Feel free to follow me. I'm not really putting out content or anything. I'm just happy to be on the show and talk about the things I love. But that's at JJ Skidds, SKIDDS, letter J. So yeah, I mean, that's where you can find me. I'm happy to be on. I love you guys. I love all the content you put out. So, it's just awesome being here.
Thank you.
Hey, Jared, I think you time slipped for a second there.
It looked like a time slipping. Can you still hear us?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, you can. Okay, all right. Keith, where can people...
that would be fun. Just like if you're at a business call, somebody says, "Can you still hear me?" Just stand still as a board, right. And then say, "Yes, I can hear you."
Where can people find us?
You can find us wherever you get your podcast. I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, the usual.
Socials are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Father Son Galaxy. Website, FatherSonGalaxy.com. Check out our merch store, FatherSonGalaxy.myspreadshop.com. Please donate to our Patreon page, patreon.com/FatherSonGalaxy. I got my Marvel shirt on, I don't know why I mentioned that, but it has Captain Marvel. Like, I can't, it's a mirror. It's like right there. Yeah, right there.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Whether you're listening to us, watching us on YouTube or on Instagram, we really appreciate it. We thank you for your support. So we will be back next week. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So until next time, take care, and we will see you again.